And welcome back. It is Ray Michaels here, Total News Nation and Grassroots 50. We're here at AmericaFest 2024. I'm here with a good friend, Steven Barber. Hi,
morning,
Steven.
sir. Thank you for the time. This is awesome.
It's
awesome.
great having you here. And you know, Steven, we had a moment to talk before we came on camera, and wow, what a story you have. Really, I see you in the jumpsuit. I thought you were an astronaut. You look like you could be.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, you look like you could be an astronaut. But your history and your background is so much more than that.
I've been really fortunate. I'm a filmmaker out of Los Angeles that do a lot of real noble documentaries with a film company called Vanilla Fire Productions. And I'm good friends with Buzz Aldrin. I just happen to know the second man on the moon. I've known him for a couple of decades. And kind of being around his orbit, pun intended, I was able to vision the Apollo 11 monument. I mean, I can't tell you how I did it, but what I can tell you is anything and everything is possible in this country. If you have an idea,
right,
you can execute it.
Now, when you say the Apollo 11 monument, so
Right.
Tell us a little bit about this. Are you a sculptor? Are you an
I'm not
artist?
a
Are you?
sculptor. I'm a guy that I would say I'm a miniature Elon Musk. I don't mean in stature, but in vision. I had a great vision to build these monuments, and I thought, and I couldn't. First of all, I couldn't believe it hadn't been done.
Now, when you say a monument, is this like a statue that would be placed in a certain area for everybody to see?
Exactly. It's a $750,000 gold and bronze, 14 feet high monument. It's 7 feet in stature high,
large,
but on a 5-foot pedestal, so 12
Wow.
feet high. It's at the Kennedy Space Center right now. It's been there for 5 years. Unveiled it in 2019, working with Dan Gilbert, the CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Great patriot, great American. He's basically rebuilt Detroit on his own. I grew up in Sterling Heights, Michigan. That's my connection to Dan. I did a movie called The Carrier about the world's first basketball game on an aircraft carrier on 11/11/11 in San Diego. You might remember that.
Right.
I was the official filmmaker for that, and Dan was the major sponsor. So that's how we met. We kept a great relationship. So when I went to him, I said, Rocket Mortgage, Apollo 11, he got it.
And I need money.
Yeah, that was he got it. So he's just a really decent guy, great patriot. Wrote a check. I couldn't believe it. What I couldn't believe the most is that nobody had ever built the monument to the greatest story in the history of mankind.
Yeah, you would think so, because when Kennedy said we were going to put a man on the moon, it was amazing. Nobody believed it.
Well, and one man, the difference, and that's what's great about being here with Donald Trump. Look at one man, the difference that one human being can make. And that speech from Rice University in 1961 is still powerful to me today. So that's how I was able to do it. And the monument had not been built for many reasons. NASA doesn't build monuments. The families didn't want it. There were a lot of things. But what happened was I just kind of hit the sweet spot. It was 2018. I had seen a monument. I work with the greatest sculptors in America. And I'm not saying that because they're my guys. I'm saying that because the Lundin sculptors, Mark and George Lundin and Joey Boehner, their heir apparent out of Loveland, Colorado,
Right.
are just... I've just never seen anything. They're Da Vinci of the 21st century. So I had seen a monument they had done in the Capitol when I was filming a movie for the Marine Corps years ago. And so when I came up with the vision, I called up George Lundin and I said, hey, listen, I've got this great idea. If I can pull this off, can you make it? He goes, if you can find the money we built it, we'll start today, right? So that's how it started. I was able, it took me a few months, but I got the Rocket Mortgage to sign off on it. So after I built the monument to the greatest story in the history of mankind, I'm like, I can do anything. I was like, right? So the pandemic hit, and I just got the money for Apollo 13. So I had literally got the money a week before the pandemic hit.
That was
I'm one of those
quite a blessing.
I was one of those strange stories that I was flush during the pandemic. I was okay. I had money to live on. I had a monument I was building, and it's a lengthy process. It took 7 or 8 months. So I was okay. But during that time, we had a lot of unintentional time, right? So I realized that there were no monuments to any women, which I thought was absurd because 25,000 women have worked at NASA.
You
25 women have been in space. I said, we can do better. We must do better. So I reached out to the Sally Ride family. They couldn't have been kinder. They go, we can't really pay for this, but if you can get it done and find a location. So I reached out to a museum called the Cradle of Aviation Museum. That's where Lindbergh actually literally took off from, right? And reached out to a gentleman that runs that, and they said, listen, we won't pay for it, but we'll put it up.
Right. We'll give you the space.
Yeah, so which is pun intended. So they did, and that's where it's at right now. It's glorious. Sally's holding the space shuttle in front of the museum right now. And then I kind of thought, well, we need to get some West Coast representation.
Right.
So I reached out to the Reagan Library, because I'd done some due diligence and I realized that Reagan was the reason she went into space. Reagan kind of picked her.
Right.
He put her on the Challenger Committee. I mean, he was Sally Ride's biggest cheerleader for sure.
Right.
So they said, sure, absolutely. We're not going to pay for it. But
There seems to be a common
Yeah, I
theme.
get that
Have
a
you
lot.
noticed that?
But, you know, I
yeah,
just-
we love the idea, but we have no money.
Right,
Yeah.
and everybody that has no money has billions of dollars. But it's it's fine. It's fine because I've become a master, and I love space monuments, and I love monuments of these because I'm not an astronaut. You know, I could play one on TV, but I don't have mathematical ability. I have lousy vision.
And I don't know if I want to be spun like that.
Exactly.
Really. I don't know.
Interest. So, but I love these folks, and shining the light on American exceptionalism has been my passion. And once you taste, purpose, the taste of simply existing is completely unsatisfying. It's just like,
You can never go back.
yeah, and it's just like I have this really purpose-driven life now. Do not get in the monument business because I'm not worried about competition. It's just a very hard.
Well, also
there's
it
not
was
a lot of money in it.
It was getting very difficult because remember they were taking down all these monuments.
Well, that's another. Yeah.
And it was President Donald J. Trump that said, you know what, next person who takes it down, you're getting 20 years in jail. And guess what happened? They stopped taking them down.
And it's funny you should say that because I'm building President Trump's monument. Segue. And I'm unveiling it down in Florida in a couple of months, and couldn't be prouder. It's a magnificent monument.
Now this is going to be at Trump International Golf
Up
Course,
International, Palm Beach. We're gonna.
and I see it on the card here, and it's basically his.
It's the fight pose. I chose to put him down as an individual, even though there were some other people involved in that scuffle, as it were. But it was really about the president. It was a Kennedy-esque moment.
Well, you talked about themes, and I think the theme of Donald J. Trump has always been fight.
Always.
Not only in that incident that was horrific, but his whole mantra has been fight.
his
And I
life.
think in the sculpture that I see here, you've really captured that it wasn't one incident, it was his life. His life.
The Lundin sculptors captured it. Once again, I have no art acumen whatsoever, but I did vision this and I took it to them. And if you notice, we probably have some pictures that we're looking at now, you'll see he's holding the hat, the Make America Great hat, which I thought was really amazing. He's actually holding on to the hat and looking up which I thought was a really nice piece of artistic gesture. Not on his head, not on the ground.
Now, I noticed he didn't have a safety vest on.
A safety vest.
Yeah, well, when he drove the big dump truck.
Oh, yeah, no safety vest. We looked at a lot of different angles, and what I do is I come up with the idea. I take it to George and Mark Lundin and Joey Banner, and these, like with Sally Ride, I wouldn't have thought for her to hold the space shuttle. That was amazing.
It's a great.
For
sculpture.
Apollo 11, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought for Buzz Aldrin to hold the reason they gave Buzz the flag is because Buzz he's always had that second man thing. He's always been, and then when you meet Buzz Aldrin, he goes, "We landed at the same time." It's like, so he's had to deal with this. So we thought, well, let's give Buzz the flag.
There's such a camaraderie between the astronauts, but a competition as well. I happened to meet one of the astronauts, and you can tell that they loved each other, a brotherly love. But there was also that constant
the right
competition.
stuff. I mean, it literally
Yeah.
was the right stuff. And the reason we went to the moon 6 times, and we did go to the moon 6 times. People come, dude, we faked the moon landing. It's like, yeah, we faked it 6 times, right? Yeah, because the 3rd time wasn't enough. Let's fake it 3 more times. It's because these guys were pilots, and it's the story of Neil Armstrong taking it off the computer. And because it was a stick and rudder. If you look at the LEM, it's a stick and rudder, man. It's like an F-16 stick.
We have more technology in a cell phone than
absolutely.
they had to send the man to
But
the
what
moon.
we don't have is a fighter pilot. And what we do have, Victor Glover, who's going to be the first African American to go to the moon, is a fighter pilot. So he will be the first fighter pilot when we go back to the moon. He will be the first fighter pilot to go back to the moon in 50 years. So that's really why those missions were successful, because for these guys, it was a piece of cake. There was no gravity. There was a zero G environment. It was like landing a feather, because they're used to friction.
Right.
They're used to afterburners. They're used to air and gravity, right? None of that existed. So it really was quite easy for them to land on the moon, which people don't.
Well,
I mean, there was nothing easy about the process, but once they got there.
But it wasn't second nature.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're used to,
Exactly.
It's like driving a car, you're used to doing that. Then you go to England, you drive on the other side. and it's totally different.
Right.
All right, so give us an idea of when this will be revealed.
So right now we're looking at probably March, April. We've got about 10 monuments in front of this one. We literally just cut it up, which is really terrifying for a non-monument maker because they cut the arm up, they cut the arm up, they cut the leg up, they cut the head up. I'm like, no, don't do it. But that's the process.
Because they build it in like a clay type, yeah.
And then they take it to the foundry, and then they
lost wax, yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But you're my new partner. You know everything. You know what's going on. So yeah, the lost wax process, and then bronze, and then they have to sand it. It's a pretty interesting process.
Sanding, polishing, take off
There's about 60 or 70 different stations. Each, I'm guessing. I'll say this is going to be cut up into 35 pieces. I'm just guessing, probably roughly around there. Each one of those pieces has to go through like 30 or 40 different stations.
Wow.
It's kind of neat. And Loveland, Colorado is the #1 sculpting city in America. It's got the #1 foundry. So like every sculptor in America sends their work to the Loveland foundry.
Loveland, Colorado.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
All right, so we're going to see it. Big reveal.
Yep.
I'm sure President Trump will be there.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you still raising money for this?
Well, what I want to do now is I want to build some duplicates. I'd like to build a duplicate on the West Coast. I'd like to bring President Trump into California. I think the Democrats would like that. I think that would be a big day for them.
Depends on what city.
Well, we'd have to put it somewhere safe. I'm thinking Trump International up in Rolling Hills and Palos Verdes. Huntington Beach is a pretty MAGA city. I think there's we want to, there's no doubt if you put this in a public place, it's going to get knocked down. We're not going to have to worry about it at the Trump golf course, right? But, people are knocking down monuments of Lincoln. Lincoln freed the slaves. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, people are knocking because they're
ignorant.
They're uneducated. Yes, ignorant's a good word, but they just don't, people don't know, and I like to say this, President Lincoln saved the Union. President Trump saved the world. And I mean that with all my heart. I can breathe again. I'm not going to get into a big political riff here, but, this is the better party for America. This is the best party for America. That's just my heart.
But you continually see a faction of the establishment not want this to happen. They don't want efficiency. They don't want it to be effective. They want status quo. And he is not status quo. We know that.
Like I said, Donald Trump saved the world. I'm so honored to be able to shine the light on American exceptionalism at the highest level, which is Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. This is Steven Barber. How can they find out a little bit more about the statue going up?
I've got an incredible film company called Vanilla Fire Productions. If you go to vanillafire.com, a lot of information there. I'm easy to find. If you Google my name, I've had a little bit of media. So I just want to the last words here is it's so important to build monuments, especially now. Our kids are stuck on Facebook.
But it's more important to keep them up.
Well,
you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been.
It's above my pay grade. I can't make a monument stay up. I can only build it, right? I can't guard it. But what I was going to say is our kids, there's a report that just came out. Our kids are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram 7-8 hours a day.
Wow.
You and I didn't grow up with this, right?
No.
And Australia is doing something wonderful. They are stopping anybody. You got to be 16. They're shutting down all social media on January 1st. The entire country of Australia.
Wow.
We probably can't do that here. There'd be too many lawsuits, but we should. No child. So that's why monuments are so important, because they're permanent. And monuments are the cornerstone of society. We're still in awe of the pyramids. We don't know how those things were built. Everybody, aliens, right? That one might. I actually think aliens did build the pyramids, because I have no idea how that got done. But
you mean illegal aliens?
See, I'm a non-political. I'm not unpolitical. I build monuments. I don't make history. I record history.
Right.
That's what I do. Right. So this man's. There are some monuments I wouldn't build. I would not build Joe Biden's monument just because I just don't think he's worthy of a monument. But that's somebody else will build it. That's not my job to build. I only build monuments that are important to the world, but that I think are important to me as well. I have to care about the subject matter. Right now, I'm trying to build Ellen Ochoa, who's a 4-time shuttle astronaut, first Hispanic woman in space. Guy Bluford, the first African American. I've been trying for 5 years, trying to build both of these folks. I have not been able to be successful, but I will be.
Right.
I will be.
All right.
I love the space. I love space.
Steven Barber, here he is right here. Check him out, and more monuments to come.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
What a pleasure.
We thank you for joining us here at America
Donald
Fest
J.
2024. Total News Nation and Grassroots 50, I'm Ray Michaels, and until next time, we'll see you real soon.